Hi, I'm Coley from the Children's Museum of New Hampshire, and today I'm going to show you an art project that you can try at home. This one's a little bit messy, but it's really fun, and you can make it a little bit of an experiment if you would like to as well. So for this activity, you're going to need some paper that is a little bit on the heavy side. So cardstock works well, or any kind of more art weighted paper. So I'm using some from a sketchbook. That's pretty thick. Copy paper doesn't work super well for this one. Construction paper does work, and cardstock works well. You'll also need some white school glue for this project, and you want to make sure this is something that the students or kids are able to use on their own. So a bottle like this works well because they can squeeze it out on their own. And you'll also need some salt. Today I'm using some salt that is made of pretty thick little particles. The type that's a little thinner actually may even work better, but different types of salt should work for this. And then you either want some liquid watercolors. If you have them, those work really well. If you don't have liquid watercolors, you can use some food coloring with water. So I did yellow, blue, and red for this, and I'm actually going to put in a little bit more into each one because when I made my practice one, it didn't come out quite as bold as it usually does. I think this works best with liquid watercolors. But we're going to do some salt and glue painting today. So the very first step is going to be to use the glue to make a design on the paper. And then we're going to apply salt to it the way you would if you were maybe trying to get glitter to stick to glue or something like that. So once you make your glue design, you want to put your salts on there pretty quickly. So I did this earlier and I made a star, and I already put the color on. It's a little hard to see it, and the liquid will spill off if I fully hold it up. So we'll check that out at the end. So for mine, I made a heart out of glue, and now I'm going to apply the salt to my heart. So I'm just going to sprinkle it on there, and this is good if you're doing it with smaller particles of salt. If you want to use a little spoon or something like I'm using, it's a good way not to get too much on there at once, because we want to cover our glue, but we don't need more than that. So once your glue is all covered, you can take another plate and just shake the salt off. We only want salt on our design. So there is the heart with the salt on it. Oh, a little more came off there. Now, this works really well if you have a pipette to use, which is one of these little tools. If you don't have a pipette, you can do this with a spoon, but the idea is to put the colors on sort of slowly so you can watch what happens. So I'm going to start adding some color. I'm going to start with the red, and you can put the color on the other parts of the paper too, but this works well if you try to put it right on to the design you made with the salt and the glue. So I'm going to drip a little bit of red on one side of my heart and a little bit on the other. And then I'm going to add some other colors. So you may have noticed that I picked primary colors for this. That's because if we allow our colors to mix together, we might get to see some different colors because the primary colors mix to make the secondary colors. So that's something you can add to this experiment as well. So I added a little bit of blue on the other side of my heart, and now I'm going to add some yellow. I'm trying to keep the paper nice and flat because what we should see happening is we should see this color traveling almost magically around the design as the salt absorbs or sucks in some of that liquid. It will actually move along your picture. So I didn't want to hold it up too much because that will give the same effect. The colors will kind of mix together. But we saw I put the yellow mostly down on this side, and now our yellow is way up here. I mostly put the blue on this side, and we're seeing some green down here where it mixed with the yellow. I'm going to hold mine up now, so some of this color is going to drip off, which is fun to watch too. Part of this experiment can be checking out how the color looks differently when it's on the paper versus when it's on the glue and salt mixture. The colors get a little lighter on the glue and salt mixture, but they do kind of stick and they do kind of spread around. So we ended up with an orange and green looking hearts after those colors kind of mixed together. And the color did move quite a bit through the salt. So I'll hold up the one I made a little earlier too. It's not dry yet, but these do dry. And sometimes you can brush some of the salt off after they dry. But sometimes it will just stay right there. As the glue dries, it'll stay on there and you'll have sort of a texture to your artwork as well. So I made some shapes with mine. It's really fun to allow kids to just take the glue and make a design. Lines work really well. So if you want to see the colors moving along the salt, it's a good idea to do maybe some long wavy lines. If you just do a circle of glue, you might not see the color move as easily. You can see it really well when it's moving on a line. And one way to do this is actually use some black construction paper, and then it really stands out. You can see it really well as it's happening. So that's a really fun art activity you can do. You can turn it into a little bit of a science experiment as well. So thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again for some more fun ideas to do at home. Thank you. Bye.